Welcome to our flood video by Lily, Ella, Sarah, Fallon, and Lila. We worked very hard on creating this video you are about to see. Special thanks to our teacher and computer teacher for making this possible. Make sure to listen for all the intense details about floods. Please sit back and enjoy this video. This is a first-hand account of a man's experience with a flood in California, 2013. As Jeff Carpenter states, at 3 a.m. on September 12th, we woke to a loud bash. Knock, knock, knock. Of course, surprised, I made my way from my bed to the front door. A fireman was at the door. While I anxiously started talking, I was distracted by the 2.5 feet of rushing water in front of my house. The fireman informed us that we had 5 to 10 minutes to gather our things, items like clothes and basic toiletries, passports, and so on. He also said that the church down the street is opening a shelter, but when we got there, they wouldn't allow us in because of our dog. The church said that there's an animal shelter down the street, but we are not leaving our dog. We need to call someone to take us and our dog into their house. There are so many things that can cause a flood. One thing that can cause a flood is heavy rain. Another thing that can cause a flood is when snow melts and sewers and dams break. Also, when the ground can't soak up enough water after a rainstorm, that can cause a flood too. There are a lot more things that can cause floods, like when lower sea levels rise. And in conclusion, when rain and snow mix together, that can cause a flood as well. Those are all the things that can cause a flood. Thank you for watching Causes by Fallon. There are so many terrible effects of a flood, especially flash floods. A flood that happens in a flash and very quickly. Flash floods always happen without notice. That's why they're so dangerous. They can get as tall as 10 or 20 feet. Also, floods can take out houses and bridges. That makes people homeless. They're a big problem for low-lying areas especially. Lots of crops get lost in floods, and people starve. If power lines fall, they can electrocute people and even start a fire in homes. If there is leaking from a high radiation and it doesn't get stopped soon enough, it could cause a flood. As floods are happening, houses, farms, automobiles, and lives are getting crushed. Some towns have bigger problems and even bigger floods. Safety is a very important thing during floods. Floodwater can be poisonous because it mixes with sewage and dead animals. First of all, you need a special safety kit including a flashlight, batteries, a portable radio, non-perishable foods, a first aid kit, and jugs of water. You shouldn't drink floodwater because floodwater can make you sick and even make you die from the poison in the water. During the Johnstown flood in the U.S. on May 1889, nearly 2,200 people died. This is one reason why you should stay away from floodwater. Also, floodwater can be deceiving. It can look shallow but is actually many feet deep. It only takes 6 inches of fast-moving currents to sweep a car or person away. Also, you should never walk near rivers or beaches during floods and stay tuned in to the radio. You should also keep a radio or mobile device with you during floods. Also, always be prepared to get to higher ground in a flood. This way you won't drown. It is extremely important to stay safe during floods. Preventing a flood is simple if you have the right materials. Some people use sandbags as walls to put against recently flooded areas. Walls, like dikes, keep out the current when it is strong enough to create a flood. Many rescue groups, including Red Cross, help people who are in need of food and water during a flood. This makes shelter for the people whose homes have been destroyed and washed away. Dams can also control water flows and floods. Sometimes a dam will break, sending water gushing over land.
dam breaks have actually caused some of the worst floods in history.
People everywhere are trying their best to create more and more walls against floods. In 2002, a flood in southern Russia killed about 100 people and left about 100,000 other people homeless. Floods are one of the most deadliest natural disasters in the world. The deadliest flood was in China. In 1931, about 4 million people were killed and more than 80 million houses were destroyed. In 2007, more than 34 million people in China were affected by the flooding. One night, as a family was asleep, at 11 p.m., water crashed through their house. A flood got too big that 10,000 people were forced to evacuate. 150 million people live in Bangladesh, and 1/3 of the area gets several floods. Also, the flood threatened the rare Bengal tiger. The Johnston flood was one of the worst disasters in the U.S. It occurred in a town called Johnston. On May 1998, a dam above Johnstown burst into heavy rain and tons of water roared down a valley. About 80 million houses collapsed and nearly 2,200 people died. The Mississippi River flooded, which covered 500 miles long and 200 miles wide. Ever since the 1900s, floods have been killing more than 10,000 people in the USA. Somebody's car got stuck in muck on the side of the road. Plus, one 14-year-old girl was trapped in rubble. We hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. When flooded, turn around, don't drown.
We want to say thank you for some sites that helped us with this slideshow.
We used some pictures from Britannica ImageQuest and Google. We used Capstone Interactive Library and PebbleGo Next for information on floods. TrueFlix also helped us, along with FactSite. They provided great information for our topic. And we want to thank our teacher and computer teacher for making this slideshow possible.